Right, checking my audio. Can anybody there hear me? You're all
Yeah.
black screen. Oh, good. You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to test out my little share screen sharing too here. Oops. Okay. Hey, Deb, can you see the PowerPoint or me?
I can see both.
Oh, in the little corner. Am I in the little corner?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Hello there. People that aren't able to attend tonight, there's a few people that had other things. It is nice to plan meetings now because most people are available, not other things going on. So I am going to share my screen. I wish, hey, Maren, do you even know, is there a way to share my screen to show my face and the screen? I guess maybe it'll show that. If I share the screen.
It'll show you because you'll still be on video for people over, so they'll see you because you're talking. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so our date for graduation, just to start out, that is May 22nd. Of course, there's a lot of stuff that's tentative as we go through some things tonight. We'll talk about that. But the purpose of the meeting is just to go through some things, a little details about graduation that you as parents need to know. We like combining the homeschool aspect of graduating, or parents being involved in the ceremony as well, since we're homeschoolers and like to compare that. So we do have some responsibilities for you. And so that's one of the reasons we do it too, is just to make sure that you know all the expectations and just things that you should be thinking about with your kids, maybe as they become seniors. So let's go ahead and get started. But like I said, the date we have set is May 22nd, and at 1 o'clock. The issue we're having right now is we usually do it at Mountain Range. We also have it at JA. Can have it at JA. No place will officially book anything right now just because nobody knows what's going on. So we're watching that to see if somebody books it, then we'll lock in a place. Like I said, I think they're not booking it for anybody else, so it's not, the places aren't booked, it's just they're not booking for anybody. We'll also talk, I've had several comments from people, I know there's several people here that we did the graduation last year at home ceremonies, and we've had several people say, my gosh, we'd love to do that again. So I'll actually talk about that a little bit, because that is an option if we don't have a place. Some people said, hey, can we vote? And I'll just talk about that because I think there's some other dynamics with that. So we'll go through that as well. Okay, so just so you know, if seniors are going for college stuff, there is scholarship information on our website. That's just where we post everything. The kids could also contact, most of the kids that do concurrent enrollment have already gotten information from Mrs. Malott. And now also just to take a second to introduce Mrs. Miller is on here too. Mrs. Miller became our assistant principal this year. So Maren, you can wave so everybody knows who you are, or say something so your picture will come up and they'll see you. But anyway, so she is, Mrs. Malott is kind of working with Mrs. Miller, and she's learning concurrent enrollment and kind of shifting that role over the next year or two. Mrs. Malott loves our school and wants to stay involved, and so we are letting her do that. She's been a great wealth of knowledge for us, but we're getting bigger and it's getting harder for her to do it all. So Maren is helping her, and I'm sure eventually in the next year or two we'll be probably taking over concurrent enrollment. So posting scholarship stuff. If the kids have not gotten, when Mrs. Malott, I think she sends out some information to kids, and there's some websites that they use to just look up scholarships where they can put in things that they've done or whatever, and it matches them to scholarships. Ask them some questions. If they don't know what that is, maybe Maren, you need to just send that out. We'll just, instead of them having to ask, we'll just have you get that information and send that out to everybody through the Google Drive, so that they have that where kids know where they can go to look for scholarship information. as we get scholarships through the year, we just post them on our website. Some of the information may be old, so look at that too. Like it has a deadline. We may have the scholarship from 2018. The scholarship is probably still good. It's just for the new year, so there's probably new deadline date. So go on the websites or wherever for those scholarships and look that up if it seems like a good one for your student. Okay, FAFSA is the federal financial aid form that kids have to fill out if they want to do any kind of scholarship. Most of them ask for their FAFSA, and they fill out information. A lot of you are probably already familiar with that. It opened October 1st. If you haven't done that, you'll want to do it right away. Once the government runs out of Pell Grant money, then it's gone. So if they wait till January, there may not, I think they're fine at this point, but if they wait till January or February and they would qualify for something, then you know, they may be out of money and it's too late. All right, Ascent is a program where our students who have already been in concurrent enrollment, they have to have 12 hours of concurrent enrollment and met all their graduation requirements by the end of this year. They can apply, and that's coming up. I think Mrs. Malata is getting ready to actually send out some information now. The deadline is to sign up is usually in January, and basically what that means is they can stay a Summit student for another year and continue to take classes at Front Range. And so they technically don't graduate for another year, but I always tell the kids, nobody knows that because you're still allowed to go through our graduation ceremony. You're still allowed to do all that. And then they just get to attend Front Range and we pay for it. And the issue we're having is we just don't get as many spots as we used to. And with, you know, COVID and funding, we're just not even sure how many spots we're going to have. I think last year we got 3 of our kids in and we probably had 7 that applied. So that's just something to look for if your student is interested in staying at Front Range for another year after graduation. Technically they're not graduating for another year, but they could, like I said, they can still go on our ceremony and all of that. So just watch for the details of that. That should be coming soon, even within a few days. Okay, so to do Ascent, they have to have met all their graduation requirements, completed 12 semester hours of college, and a full-time student their junior and senior year. Okay? If you have younger students starting next year, we're going to allow students who have been, we've been able to allow students who have only been full-time their senior year. Okay? Or, hey, Marn, you correct me, we talked about that. Is that part-time students can do it? For part-time students can apply for a part-time spot.
Yes.
Okay?
So to make that happen, we'd have to have 2 part-time students to make 1 full, but yeah.
They can at least get part of theirs done. So but that's, our seniors this year are still under this one, where they have to be a full-time student their junior and senior year, and then next year we're able to change that. We've wanted to do that for a few years and finally got permission. Okay, so that was just what I had talked about with graduation. Okay, there's a graduation checklist. We did it in a Google form. So I'm going to go through that. These are just some things that we need from you for your senior. All right, one, on the Google form, you'll be asked their name. Put in their full legal name that you want printed on their diploma. Okay, that's what's going, and that's what we're going to use for in the yearbook, in the graduation ceremony program, all of that. So we want their full first, middle, and last name. Make sure you double check spelling because that's the one we're going to use. Put their student email, and just a reminder to the kids and prompt kids and even you for different emails. Try to respond quickly. Sometimes things come up that we need to try to get answers for, so try to respond. There's a $40 graduation fee that is due. That covers their cap and gown and just some of the other stuff that we do. I often get asked, hey, we've got a cap and gown from our student last year. Can we just get the tassel? And we can probably work that out, but honestly, it's one of the things. I think the cap and gown is like $25, but then if you only get the tassel, it's still like $15 or $17. So it's not even really that much of a difference. So the graduation fee is $40. Just pay that, make that out to Josh like you always do your checks. The diploma choice. So this is kind of an important distinction, and Shannon has information on the Google site for this as well. So some of your students are, as seniors, are part-time, meaning they're still homeschooled. Totally fine. Some of the students have gone to full-time, meaning they're meeting JEPCO graduation requirements. They have to be enrolled in concurrent enrollment and Summit to do that, or only a full-time student at Front Range, meaning 12 or more hours to be full-time for the diploma. So I'm thinking most of you know that. We have you mark your choice for diploma. not so much that you're choosing, we just want to make sure that we're both on the same page. We know what they should get because we know our full-time students get diplomas. We're going to order those. You, as a homeschool parent, part-time enrolled kids, you provide their diploma. And so we just want to make sure that we're on the same page, that we don't end up at graduation day, or just before the ceremony and realize that we haven't figured that out right. So basically the students part-time, you'll provide the diploma, and full-time students, we provide the diploma. So when you mark that, we're just kind of confirming that we're both on the same page. Okay, we need a 4x6 photo for our school frame, and it can be horizontal or vertical. Our frames have, can go either way. And that's just I don't know, do you call it a print, a hard copy of a photo that we put in a frame here. Okay, then we'll need their senior portrait, and that is digital that you'll turn in. Shannon, do they link that on the form, or how do they? I think she's got information in there on how to do that. Yep, she does. And you can submit the file there as well. Okay, and that one is going to go, and Shannon, you can help me with this. So the one that they're going to want for the graduation program, it's a small picture. So if they have a great picture they really love where it's full length, like head to toe, it's going to look really, really small in the graduation program. So those are better to be a close-up, head and shoulder shot. The yearbook picture is a little bit bigger, so if their favorite picture is one that is full length, that's totally fine for the yearbook. So Shannon, can they submit 2 different ones? I think we have in the past.
I think right now I have it set up to where they can only submit 1, but I have put some guidelines as far as the resolution. As long as it's a large enough image and the resolution is high enough, there's some particulars in the form that you'll see once you look at it. As long as it's a large format, we should be able to crop it close enough for the picture for the program and stuff. And if I'll be able to tell when I look at the pictures if there's an issue, and I'll just contact them individually if there's an issue with the photo that they submitted.
Yeah, and I think if we needed to submit 2, they probably could do that another way with you, right? One for if different, like I'm thinking the image that may not have the right angle or something on the face shot, if it's a full body one, might be something different.
Another option too is I've set the form up so you can submit multiple times. I want to keep it down to as few times as possible. In the email that went out today, I explained that a lot of people probably won't have their senior photos done yet. And so they may not have them to submit by the time they have everything else. So I said, please go ahead and submit everything else. And then you can just submit the form again. There's only 2 required slots, which is the name and the email address. And then you can submit another picture. So if they want to submit more than 1, they can do it that way.
Perfect. Okay. Sounds good. So, and then their senior bio goes in the yearbook and in the graduation program. And that's just 75 words of, they can talk about, I mean, some kids do it differently, and maybe Shannon, we could post some examples so they can see just kind of what their future plans are, what they like to do. It's just a short bio. And some kids mention a thank you to somebody, or, just certain things, or, hobbies, whatever. And we'll post some of those so your kids can see some examples. So they need to write their bio. A senior quote, we often use those in the yearbook, just something, some kids do a line from a song, or just a quote that's something favorite or motivational that we put in the yearbook for them. Okay, their song title and artist, let us know that. That's for their senior video. And we play that a couple different times. I'm hoping we get to play their senior videos on the last day of school, that everybody's here. And depending at the ceremony, we also play it as well. Okay. So they get to pick that. And again, the only thing I ask for with that is we just want to be careful about language. It's a family ceremony. So anything with language or that type of stuff, we want to keep them pretty clean. And most of the kids, it always is something kind of more motivational, or, it's pretty an upbeat song. So that would be good. And then there's a section for you to choose in the yearbook. So the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday yearbook, a lot of our kids, when they get up to be juniors and seniors and they're maybe doing front range classes, they end up splitting their summit days, and they want to be in both Thursday and Friday yearbook because they've attended those days. So that's fine to check, too, if they want to be in both of those yearbooks. Okay. So if they've been attending classes on that day, let us know. Or they might have even been, they might be a Friday student this year, but maybe for freshman, sophomore, and junior years, they were Wednesday students. And so they still want to be in that Wednesday yearbook. Totally fine with me. go ahead and mark off the ones that they are going to be in. Then there's a place to mark if they're interested in Ascent. So check that and then watch for deadlines. And then there's also a place, and this is where you may be submitting more than one time, is your post-secondary plans. It's really good for us to know, are they planning to go, where they're planning to go to school, that type of thing. Where, if they're going to college, community college, if they're doing a trade school, what they're doing afterwards. That's good for us to keep. We're supposed to do a profile of our school that kids, we send out like the following year for kids who are doing scholarships and stuff. So it's really good if we have that information. And then plus it's good to know too, because we put the banners up for the schools, the colleges, that kind of stuff. And it's just good for us to know that. So that might be something that changes. Like they may in January have one place, and even if they find out in August, you could let us know. Like sometimes they get a scholarship late where they wanted to go somewhere else and they end up going there and changing. So that's totally fine. I've always wanted to do and I've tried to figure, we actually was going to try to do it last year, but then with COVID we couldn't. But having, I always think it's fun when you see the athletes kind of do their school reveal where, hey, I'm going to, and then they pull out their t-shirt or banner or whatever. I always thought that'd be fun for our high school kids to do for whatever they were going to do the following year with all the other kids there and to cheer for them with what they're going to do. So hopefully we might be able to do that. I just think, and even if they're not going to college, there's kids doing a lot of good things of what they're going to do, and it's just a time to honor them. That we would have maybe a day in April. That's our reveal day. So anyway, thinking about that, and so just so you have that on your mind what that is, and yeah. So just that's good if we have their plans in there. Okay, here's my two kind of negative things for the night. Just be checking on your kids, especially your seniors, how they're doing in their classes. Remote learning is tough. I've got two at home. One is still a senior this year. She's at Front Range and doing Front Range classes, and my son is at CU. He is now home as of last weekend. They're home doing their work remote. And remote learning, especially with the college kids, just has, any of the kids, it just has different, I'm even hearing from elementary parents of even kids in regular school, whatever. There's just all these different dynamics, and it's tough. However, we have to be careful because those seniors have to be passing their graduation classes, and I've heard more and more principals talking about they're really worried about some of their seniors. I know I talked to a principal Tuesday, and she said she was really worried. They have some seniors that they haven't heard from all year, and they've tried to contact them, and they're not doing their classes, so they're really worried about graduation. Now, if your kids are homeschooled, they're not really having to meet JEFCO requirements, so it's not, I don't want to say it's not a big deal. We want to make sure they're doing well, right? But for the kids that are full-time, if they're not meeting graduation requirements, something that could be an issue. So make sure you check with your kids on their grades. Most of our kids I know are going to be fine, but we don't want to let anybody slip through the cracks. They're good students, so I'm not really worried about them. But we don't have any way to know what they're doing at Front Range to keep an eye on them. So if you can keep an eye on them, make sure they're doing what they need to do to pass these classes, or, and then if they do fail something this semester, D's are okay. D's still count for graduation credit in high school. They won't transfer to the college, but they do count for high school credit. But just if you know that they're failing something, let me know, because we don't want to wait till January when it's too late to register for something at Front Range or whatever, that they need something. We're going to be on it and checking all their grades as soon as they come in and their credits to make sure everybody's good. But if there's something make sure you let us know so we can get that figured out before it's too late. Okay. The other thing is just a good reminder. I think our kids are great, but it's just good to be aware and to talk to your kids about this if you haven't, that they're turning 18. And that means that they are now adults. Some of them already turned 18. And so little things that kids can do, stupid things that kids can do, may carry a different penalty now that they're 18. They may say the wrong thing on a text to somebody. They're an adult now. They may engage in something with younger students, like, if they're going to buy vaping supplies now that they're 18 and they're allowed to, and they buy them for somebody younger and they get caught, there's penalties for those kind of things. So I only say that and our kids have been so great, but there's just been a couple things over the years that it's like, oh my gosh, the kids, they didn't realize they were 18, and that when 18, it's a whole different standard for penalties and all that kind of stuff with some legal stuff. So that really has very little to do with Summit. I think our kids are great. I always just feel like that's a good, if you haven't talked to your student about that, that's not a bad thing to mention. Okay, we talked about diploma choices. So I kind of explained those a little bit. Homeschool students get a homeschool diploma. If you can give those to us, bring the actual diploma to us by April 30th, that would be great. Then we know we have it. We can get it organized for the ceremony. Full-time, we will have it. You don't have to do anything. The place that I like for homeschool parents, we order our diplomas from here, is homeschooldiploma.com. It's a great, I mean, they've been great. Their prices are reasonable. You can do everything from the plain certificate to a plain, you know, very affordable cover for the diploma, all the way up to all the bells and whistles and their name printed and a, you know, quote printed on it, or a, you know, all different kinds of stuff with gold and tassels and whatever. And so there's a lot of different choices, and I think their prices are really reasonable. Let me see, I usually have our sample diploma. I forgot to pull it out here. I'm trying to remember where our sample diploma is. Our diplomas just have a red cover. They've got our crest on the front of it, and we put their names on it. Last year we ordered covers for the part-time kids, thinking that it would be nice. Some of them felt like they wanted the same thing. We didn't want to make it feel like a homeschool diploma was different, than that sometimes kids would see that as less, which we don't, but sometimes kids do that. And so we bought the covers, but it turned out the kids didn't really use them because they ended up ordering them. So we probably wouldn't do that again. The most of them are just sitting back there. And maybe they don't have a date on it. So if you need a cover, let me know. We'd be happy to order a cover for you. Let Shannon know, or just do an email, whatever. We're happy to order a cover if that helps. But again, I think by the time when you order the plain certificate or the cover on it, it's basically comes out to be the same. It's very little difference in price. Okay. I'm assuming you all are on the Gmail group already, or you probably wouldn't be on this video. Okay, so the ceremony, like I said, that I have date in place to be determined. Right now, our day is May 22nd. That's a Saturday after the kids' last day of school. The only difference would be is if we still have COVID stuff going on and there's still the stuff with group gatherings, you know, that could be an issue. And I just, you know, I'd like to think it's not going to be that way, but who knows? Most people I'm talking to are thinking it is still going to be that way with large gatherings. So the good thing is, I think I have some parents here, and I'm going to actually not share my screen as we talk about this so that I can get even some comments from you. I thought what we did last year was worked out really well for the kids. And I can tell you the things I feel like were good. Some of the parents here I know can make comment. We've had a lot of people even over just the last couple of days now that we're talking about graduation, asking Shannon, can we just plan on that and do it? It was so awesome. We loved it. And if you haven't seen what we did, the video is on our webpage. If you go to the homepage, there's a little link that says at the bottom, more videos to come, or graduation videos to come or something, and more videos. Click on the more videos. We need to update the website because the graduation video is not to come. It's been there for about 6 months. So you can look at it and just get a taste of what we did. But really, we took stage, all kinds of stuff, and in about 10 minutes, set up in a kid's yard, had music, pomp and circumstance, the pledge, the kids came with us that were chosen to graduation speech, did it 36 times at 36 different houses. Kids were awesome, gave diplomas. We tried to make it really special for the kid, and then in 10 minutes we were off. So a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. You get everything in 10 minutes. You don't have to wait 2 hours to have your child's name called, and then you can, you know, normally the graduation ceremony, you have your family there and maybe grandparents or a couple close people. This way you could have 50 people. Some groups had probably 50 people in their yard. We were all social distanced, doing what we were supposed to do. And some people chose to have less people there. It was fine. We tried to be socially distanced, I should say, and do all that well. And so I think it really was special for the kids. I know for me, I felt like, gosh, that's one of the best things we've done at Summit, because the look on the kids' faces when you pull up in a truck and start unloading a stage in their front yard. I think they felt like we were gonna come in a car and hop out and hand them a diploma and hop back in the car. And it just wasn't like that. So it was really awesome. I think this year I'd even want to do some things a little bit different just to make it different and more special for the kids. But I also think some of the specialness of what we did was for that moment. I don't know that it would feel as special this year. Like I said, we hadn't, it was in the end of May. The kids hadn't even seen each other. Some of the kids were able to go to each other's ceremonies for friends, or when the teachers got out of the cars or whatever. We were all pretty much in lockdown up until then. And so it was almost, for me, it was probably one of the first times we were all getting out. So that, I think, added to the specialness that I don't know that we would have this year. I don't know how the kids would feel about it. I think, like I said, I would want to change up a few things just to make it different and a little more special. So I still think the kids would like the big ceremony if that's possible. But I'm open for just some comments. Not that we have to decide anything tonight, but your comments are important. I think we can just to hear what you want to say.
Yeah. Stephanie, can I jump in?
Sure.
Okay, so Grace is just sitting off to the side to me, and she indicated to me that she would really prefer the at-home ceremony. It is really also the only way that my dad could attend, and we're very close to him, and Grace is very close to him. He lives around the corner from us, but he's 82, and there's no way he can come to a bigger ceremony. And also just kind of keep it in mind with Grace's needs. It would really, the individual ceremonies would really fit best for her. So I just wanted to share that with you.
And that's probably the case with a lot of people. If it's still, like it is now, and our cases are still higher and all this is still going on, that's probably going to be the way it is for a lot of people. And I have no idea what the chances are of even any place doing something large right now. And even if it, so it's very likely that we may be doing that. Any other comments from anybody?
Stephanie, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. What you did was amazing and awesome. Josiah loved it and did also say he missed the big ceremony. So just a slight nod direction is that he missed being with all his friends in that moment.
Exactly.
But it was great, and I agree with you that it may not feel quite as special as it did the first time around, but we'd be happy with either option. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Right.
I think we'd also be open to either, whatever's convenient, but we live a lot farther. I wouldn't expect you to come to us. So, and he's
Parker, so you're just the other direction.
okay. And actually, Braden had said he'd prefer not to.
Not to go home, or not? Just not a ceremony. Yeah.
Yeah, not to have. He's such a individual, but yeah. So either which way would work for us too.
I think like for us, we could go either way totally too. I know that Abby would prefer to have like the big ceremony because it's fun and cool, and especially as a homeschooler, they don't get a lot of the same experiences that a lot of other kids do. So I think, sometimes it is cool to have those big things, but it is one of those things where if no one's going to allow a big get together, then there's not much we can do about it. And we would love, we would love whatever, so yeah.
Right. I agree with that. I agree that I think what the kids really want is to do the big ceremony.
Mm-hmm. But there definitely are, I can relate also to having, elderly grandparents or whatnot who would not be able to come if it was a big ceremony. So I see both sides of it totally. And I think that whatever decision you have to make is just going to be great.
Yeah. And I think, it's probably going to be decided for us, really, honestly, in how open things are and how large we're allowed to gather and all that kind of stuff. That's what I feel like. So I'm at peace knowing we've got a solution.
Stephanie?
Uh-huh.
I think the appeal for the kids with the at-home one was, number one, it was short and sweet. And number two, the ability to jump on the bandwagon and just get in their car and follow the rest. I don't think it's necessarily a difference between the two. So I don't know if there's a way to kind of combine some of those concepts within the, you know, that it doesn't necessarily have to be the traditional graduation ceremony. I don't know, just a thought.
You know, and a thought, Renee, on maybe how to combine something or take the best of both worlds. One of the things I thought was super fun that we were able to do was the honk out in the back. And I don't know why we couldn't always, I mean, the kids enjoyed that. That was kind of special for them too. You know, I don't know what the things they do during the day, but the honk out was kind of fun too. So that's another.
Definitely.
Yeah. Get a little bit of the individual special stuff.
You know what I think is unique and pretty cool about the situation in general is that we have an option because we're smaller. And I think what you did last year was so cool. Like, you know, honestly, if our kids don't get a big ceremony, there's going to be a lot of other seniors at a lot of other schools that don't get a ceremony and they don't have the option to do anything else. They just don't get it. So really, yeah. So really, I just think whatever works is going to be amazing. So,
and like I said, I think it's going to be decided for us. So just to put everybody at ease, I think we do have a really good alternative. Sorry to say something else. Anyway, I lost my train of thought, but anyway, so.
Another idea, and I don't know if it would work or not. So just throwing this out there, if we're not allowed to have a big ceremony, but we wanted to have something like the big ceremony, maybe we could have family groups come to us at the place with the stage and everything like it normally is, but just have family groups come in and do their own and then them leave so that they're coming to us instead of us going to them. And I don't even know if that's an option or a possibility or if anybody would even like that idea, but it's just another idea.
I mean, we could always even do a small ceremony. And I thought about that too, because when we did the honk out, and they still weren't allowing the larger gatherings outside, but we could even set up a stage and do, you know, something outside. So there are definitely good options for the kids to make it special for them and to include some things. Anything else? Okay, let me go back to my screen to see what's left. I think I'm almost at the end of my, oh, back at the beginning. And I'm not changing. Hold on a minute, did I share the wrong? Oh, that's probably the end of mine. That is the end of mine. You know, the one thing that I have on here about the parents speaking, so in the past, we've always had parents speak, and I love that, and we did that at the individual ceremonies. So parents speak, we say it can take about a minute, which is about 3/4 of a page, double space typed, what you could say to your student. The issue that I feel like we're running into is the last graduation we did with the big ceremony. We had, I think, 32 or 34 kids, and it went really long. And it was great. It was good to hear. But we have 50 seniors this year, which is so awesome. But I don't know if we can do 50 parent speeches in a full ceremony. For door to door, if we're in that situation, we definitely can. So just be prepared. And I've asked around to the kids, and you can ask your kids too, and maybe I think they give you, the kids that I ask, I'm like, okay, if you had to choose between your senior video and your parent speech, which one would you choose? And you guys all know they don't really care what we say. They want their video and their music up there. So so we may just be doing their videos this year and maybe try to figure out something. We've even thought we could maybe record parent speeches so that somehow that, I don't know, trying to figure out how to do that. So I guess we'll just kind of keep post on that, be thinking about that. You've got plenty of time. If you have to write something, we could even send some examples. It's always been a parent's moment with a lot of our kids being homeschooled, and most of their career has been their parents, and I've always loved what the parents say, just your word, time to encourage them or give them your, kind of your send off for them. And those usually go about a minute. So, except for my husband, who I kept trying to get him to cut it down. I kept cutting it down for him, and then it still ended up being too long. But so that's kind of what happens with some of us. And anyway, so we maybe would record those or something like that. I don't know. So how do you feel? Maybe that's even kind of a thumbs up or a thumbs down. How important do you feel you giving a parent speech is? Anybody want to? See some middle ones, some up, not too many votes, some down. I mean, I'm going to my second page here and look and see. Okay, so yeah, back and forth. Yeah, I know the parent speeches I think are always awesome. I love hearing them. It's just fun, even though it's my last thing with most of the kids. I still enjoy. It's a really fun way to get to know parents too, even of the things they say. So. Anyway, so we can talk about that later. We'll kind of make a decision on that as we get closer to I just don't see how we can do it the way we've done it in the past with 50 people. If there's a different way to do it, maybe when we call their name as you're walking up, your video speech is playing, and then the kids' video plays or something, and that way it kind of moves it along a little faster. It might be good. So anyway, so we can think through that and let you know. And I think as our decision is made for us about what kind of ceremony we have, then we'll make decisions about that as well. Okay, any question?
We had one question about if you were meeting Jeffco requirements that they would get a general diploma. Is that still a thing or no?
Let does that mean? For a full-time student or part-time? The full-time,
I believe.
So let me see, somebody asked about that once. I guess there's something you can apply for through Jeffco, we do Jeffco requirements. I think the issue is if you get a Jeffco diploma, even with those graduation requirements, they have to show competencies. So they have to be able to, so if you have like 4 years of math on your homeschool diploma, and you've done all of that at home and not at Summit, like that top one, then you have to they either have to take a test or SAT score or something that shows they've met competencies. So that is just another kind of hoop. And I think in the past when that has come up, most families have opted out of doing that. So they won't, like you can do all your homeschool credits, but then they have to somehow verify them before they'll give you the Jeffco diploma, if that makes sense. So if anybody's interested in that, trying to get the general diploma from Jeffco, which it would be, I think it would be a Summit diploma just like ours, we just have to figure out how to verify it. And if they're part-time students that has done Math 121 in English at the college, they probably could. I can check into that. That would probably be demonstrating competency for that. So just email me if that's an issue, and then we can look, if you're wanting that, we can look into that. Okay, any other questions? Maren, do you have some? Have people been putting them? Maren's been kind of collecting questions from the chat.
That was the only one from the chat.
Okay, any other questions? You can type them in the chat or just start talking. I got 2 screens here I'm trying to keep track of.
I have a question.
Okay.
What is the senior video? Like, how is that something you guys put together? And can you kind of describe that to me?
So yeah, sure. Sorry, I didn't even think about. So their senior video is, Shannon, how many pictures do the kids turn in pictures all throughout their life? And then we use that song and title. And we've had classes put them together. We've had teachers put them together. It's basically just a PowerPoint with pictures of their life with their song. And so what we've done in the past, when we call their name as they're coming up, their video is playing. And then the last picture is their senior picture. So the kids always like that because they choose the song and the pictures. Is it about 20 pictures, Shannon?
Yeah, it's 20 pictures that we're going to request. And the way we did it last year actually ended up working really well, where Mr. Zur put together a Google template that was mailed to each student. And they just submitted their pictures through the template. And yeah, so it's just the 20 photographs, like you said, ranging from birth till current, just whichever photos that they prefer to show. And then we play that 1-minute clip of their song while the video plays, while the pictures show.
Okay.
And so you do single pictures. Some people have tried to can get more in. They collage their pictures, like they might put 2 or 3 pictures on a slide, so they can get more in that way.
Yeah, and it's just uploaded as one
You know,
photo.
shorter time, it's fast to look at 3 pictures, and that, you know, they're going, I guess at 20 pictures, it's 3 seconds a slide. So if they collage too many pictures in there, it might be hard to even see them in the time that you have. And then we play those at graduation when their name is called. And then their senior picture is the senior picture you send us is the last slide with their name on it. Okay, did that answer that, Stacy? Anybody else?
What was the name of the diploma site you were talking about? Diploma dot what?
It's homeschooldiploma.com.
Thank you.
And they're great people to work with. We've had somebody who's, they had kind of ordered their diploma late, and literally like a few days before graduation, it was sitting on their porch for delivery, and a dog came and chewed it up, and they overnighted them another diploma. They're just great people to work with. I think they're maybe a homeschool family or something that started this business, and they're just super, super nice people. And they do, I mean, everything we've gotten has been really quality. And
Hey, Shannon, do we have a deadline for senior pictures?
The deadline for the form to be submitted right now is set, I believe, is January 29th. I know those senior pictures, like I mentioned before, are a little bit more iffy as soon as possible, because we do need those to go in the program, which we have to submit to the district a good bit ahead of time to have printed. The other deadlines are a little more flexible, but we'd really like to try to get them done as soon as possible. So officially the deadline's the 29th of January, but if those senior photos are a little harder to, you know, get them done and decide which one you want to use, just get them as soon as you can after that date.
And how about the photos for the video? Is there the same deadline on that?
That deadline's a little bit more flexible, and I'm gonna have to get with Mr. Zur, because I think we want to get that out pretty soon, just so kids can start looking at it. But that that can be pushed back a little bit. I mentioned in the email that I sent to the kids, or to the students, they're not kids anymore, that there are 2 items that are not going to be collected in the form, and one of them is their height, because we need that like 2 months ago. And so I've asked them to email me with their height. So maybe ask your kids, hey, did you email it to Mrs. Mullane? And then also this Google template for the photographs. So it'll probably, you know, March, April is when we'll really start hounding people if we don't have all of our pictures in yet.
yeah, and you know, even though she's saying that deadline is flexible for those slideshows, and there's always, you know, there's always some that just are coming in late, and they're thinking, oh, they don't really need it till May. I mean, those teachers are working on those, and granted, some of those that come in late, I mean, we've had some of them that, like, I mean, literally the day before graduation, we're still trying to get pictures from them. And then that's just hard, because it's just stressful to make sure it works out right. And then it, you know, you want to play it a bunch of times to make sure they're working. And you know, so please don't wait. I think it's a good, I mean, try to do it maybe even like a maybe Christmas break project, is to get their pictures together. Would be really helpful, because the last minute ones, there's just a lot to do last minute. And so when you're worrying about videos and whether the sound's going to work, and do I have the right kind of file, and all of that kind of stuff, it's just a lot. And when you've got that, and you know, it's just a lot. There's a lot goes on last minute that you have to do. So it's nice to just get all that out of the way. All right, anything else? Any other questions? You can just unmute yourself and talk. Okay, is that it? No more questions? All right, if you want to see what we did last year, just, you know, you can go on the website to see that. But we'll let you know as soon as we know stuff. I'll have Shannon keep you posted. And again, I think we're all getting used to this stuff, just may change, you know. So anyway, all right, you guys have a good evening. Thanks for your time. It's good to see everybody, and we will hopefully see you around soon. I miss seeing you guys all here at Summit, in and out, but hopefully soon we'll be able to do that. All right, guys, have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
You know what? I actually just thought of a question. May I ask you real fast?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I was just thinking, so if you guys end up, I don't remember what you did last year. Like, let's say large gatherings are not allowed and you do end up doing like the door-to-door, will you do that on that date, like all on one day?
Great question. That was what came into my mind something I remember at one point that came into my mind. So the day we have set for that, and I'll have Shannon send this out so if they missed it, the day that we're looking at for that is, here's a couple tentative dates. May 26th to the 28th. It took us about 3 days to get around to everybody. It was 2.5 days. But we did, I think, 34 last year. We've got close to 50 now. And I don't know, we may have a few kids who don't want to participate, but we'll have close to 50. So it'll probably take the full 3 days. And we did, and Trish, I don't know if you're still on or not, but we did drive to Parker and, places. We were all over, Boulder, Longmont. We went everywhere. And so we had our route planned well and got them all. So the 26th, 27th, and 28th are the days I'm looking at. Based on what happens this spring of being able to have all the kids back or not, we have an extra week in there because we wanted equal time for elementary and secondary second semester. So there's actually an extra week of classes there. And basically what that comes out is we have 2 weeks for the picnic. If we have an elementary picnic and a secondary picnic planned for the last day of school. If we don't use both of those, we can put both those on 1 week. If the kids are all back together again, then that would move everything up a week. So again, I think we'll know that soon before you have to print any kind of announcements. We actually printed announcements for kids last year for their at-home ceremony that kind of had dates on it and stuff like that. So, and even then, you're not going to know the exact date till we get routes planned and all that. So, maybe we could do that sooner. It was all very, I don't want to say last minute last year because we were thinking about it all spring, but anyway, so that's kind of, I guess the 19th through the 21st would be the other week. And we could always even just take that week off and do them the 26th, 27th, and 28th. That is, the 28th is Memorial Day weekend. I know some people haven't liked graduation that weekend. Some people like it because it's a 3-day weekend and it seems like a great weekend to celebrate. Other people don't like it because airfare is a little bit more expensive, but is there going to be a lot of travel going on with graduation? I don't know. It's so crazy. So the week is basically 26th, 27th, and 28th, possibly the week before that, 19th through 21st. If things are, depending on how things are shaping up with just what's going on in our community. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, so that's all. Bye, everybody. And Shannon will send that information out for the people who missed it, too. All right, thanks. Bye-bye.